Okay, go ahead.
Oh, Dawn's here. Um, I'm Marlon. Hi, everybody. So he does do rough play, and a lot of the time the girls are fine with it. But then sometimes he'll keep going, and they'll say stop. And then he'll keep going, and you can tell that he knows that they're saying stop. Sometimes it's a sensory thing, and like I said in the thing, I'll pull him away and I'll do something with him, like I'll squish him or we'll play, or I'll say, I'll go play with dad because he's not doing anything. So, you guys can roll around on the floor or something like that. But then other times, like he'll purposely squish them or hurt them, and you can actually see that it's intentional.
Yes.
And they have already said stop, and they're not at the point where they want to play back or whatever. So yeah, at that point, I used to say all the conscious words and whatnot, but that didn't work with him. I needed I needed to actually take him away. So now what I do is I don't say anything most of the time, and I just go up to him a lot of the time and just push him, and I'll just push him out the door. And then sometimes I'll just close it and lock it, and he knows why he's out there. And a lot of time he'll just walk off to the back lawn or something, and he'll just have a moment. And then other times he'll, kick and scream, and he'll kick the back door or whatever. But then other times I feel the need that I need to say, it's time out. You need to have some thinking time, think about what you did, and we'll talk about it when you come back. And then a lot of the time he'll be like, okay, I've thought about it, like 30 seconds later. And I say, no, you need at least 5 minutes, and then come back to me and we'll talk. And yeah, but I just sometimes I just feel like I'm doing it too much and it's lost its value. So I don't know what else I can do in those moments.
My only feedback is, does Anthony have his own room, or does he share a room with one of the girls?
Yeah, he's got his own room.
Okay, so my only thing would be, you need something that's super consistent, and ideally not outside, only because that can cause a separation for him, and it's very much more a punishment. And if you keep doing punishments, they start working less and less and less, right? And the reason they start working less and less and less, so there'll be consequences, don't get me wrong, I'll get to that in a second, like a natural consequence of those actions. And I think everything you're doing is actually freaking brilliant. I'm giving you little 1%ers here, right? And the fact that you don't even speak is a really good thing. It's just all an energetic movement, as in I'm in business, move it, stop it kind of thing. So that's
I've done the speaking in the past, but now he just knows that is the consequence if he does that. So I'll just push him out, and a lot of the time he'll resist. So I'm just pushing him basically, and it's not like I'm not hurting him. I'm just pushing him. So
that's fine. It's perfect. The only thing I would do is make it in his bedroom, so that it's rather than outside, because it's harder to do outside. You can't be as consistent with outside, because if there's a storm or it's raining or whatever, then you might feel worse, or he might feel traumatized by being thrown outside or whatever. But so let me ask you this just quickly. Have you actually had a conversation with him about this before that's not related to the moment? Like in a completely isolated moment, just raise, hey, I just want to talk to you about this. Have you ever done that with him on this topic?
Yeah, lots. And they normally happen. So say it happens in the morning, I won't even because sometimes I don't even get to the discussion when he comes back in from outside. And I just say, you had enough. Are you okay now? You're going to be respectful. And he'll be like, yep. But then later on that night, I normally lay down with him and I say, hey, what you did today, the girls don't like it. We've spoken about this before, but it's really repetitive. It's so repetitive.
I wanted to know if you've done that first. Cool.
Yeah.
The principles of this, the principle you want to come back to in situations that just no matter what you try, it just keeps happening, is I need your help on a problem I've got. Do you remember all that?
Yeah.
The thing is, he might suggest solutions, and it might not work all the time anyway. But the point of that exercise isn't just to always get resolution. And with a child like Anthony or ADHD, and their brains are all differently, and they're sensory seeking, and they're power seeking, and all these things all wrapped together. The point of still doing that, you can't do it too often, but if you haven't done it for a while, I'd definitely encourage you to revisit it. And I need your help with the problem I've got. And I'll run you through those three steps on that in a second. But the point of that is for him to literally wire his brain to create new files for his brain to use and save. And the more often he visits those files, and he has to do it through his own thought, not through being told the thought by you, the more likely his brain saves that file and accesses it again later. Does that make sense? It doesn't guarantee, it's just more likely, right? And so the other thing was wait, hang on. I wanted to say this in order for you. Yeah, first of all, I want you to, and the other thing is with the isolated conversations, and with the thinking time thing. I love that you're doing that. That's great. But there has to be a bit more structure in that thinking time. So first of all, let me give you 3 steps. First of all, number 1, this particular behavior, this very specific, the way you said, terrorizing behavior or whatever, it needs to have like its own name, right? So that you can name it and call it, and all the follow-on effects, these particular series of consequences, or how we handle this situation, this is how this one thing so instead of it being just disrespectful, I would encourage you, find a word that you like, but something like you are violating people, or something like a strong word that you wouldn't ever really use in any other scenario where you'd use disrespectful for, lots of other scenarios, right? Where, that's disrespectful. Yeah. So something like, like label it something strong, and something like, you are violating people's bed. You are violating people. Like, we do not violate people, and make it something different from disrespect, if that makes sense. It is disrespect as well, but it's beyond that, right? When it becomes quite intentional and quite terrorizing, like you say. Okay. So give it a name, so that, anytime you address this specific issue, you use that word, and he builds an association with that word, because we can go through life and people can perceive us to be disrespectful, even sometimes when we had no intention to be disrespectful, right? And so disrespectful, and particularly with an ADHD brain, we don't want him to have any gray areas around that is violating people or something like that, right? Or you can use terrorizing. No, you are terrorizing her, and I will not tolerate anybody terrorizing someone else. When you are asked to stop, you stop. That isn't just pushing her boundaries or disrespecting her. That is violating her, or that is terrorizing your sister, whatever word you want to use. Do you feel like the energy I mean by the strength of that word, something like that?
I think violate, because I don't normally say to him terrorize or violate or anything. So I think if I start to name it, it'll become a new kind of, that's good. That's good.
Like, we deal with disrespect in all different ways according to the scenario, and we can handle some disrespect. You violate or you terrorize, and that's a whole nother level. You see a whole different version of me as a parent, kind of a thing. And that needs to be his experience with that particular behavior, right? So that's, first of all, number 1, name it, right? Number 2, you need to have a very isolated discussion. So not even probably the morning after, at a time where he hasn't even done it for a while, and, a whole week later, so that there's complete emotional detachment from it, so that you can keep him in mammalian brain, so that through his mammalian brain, he can actually hear and receive the message and actually converse, rather than having to be a bit defensive because he's kind of expecting it and he's got his guards up. And if he's in reptilian brain, his brain isn't even recording or saving and ever going to remember, no matter what he agreed to in the moment. If it comes from reptilian brain, it doesn't get saved. There's no memory attached to that.
Trauma, apart from if I do bring it up that night, he normally tries to brush it off, like, I know, Mum, I know, like that. So he's kind of switched off to it already. So maybe the next day, or midweek or something, unrelated.
At least 2-3 days, something like that, right? Literally where he's not even expecting it, and you are completely neutral in your energy about it. And it's not even the girls don't like it. It's hey, Anthony, I want to have a discussion with you about what happened the other day. And we've had this discussion before, but do you know what? I've also seen you make improvements, and that you hadn't done it for a long time, or, give him, wherever you can give him credit first, start with that. Anything that you can clutch at to give him some credit, just to keep him in his connection brain, not in his fight or flight response, right? And listen, mate, right now, I'm not here to give you a consequence, to give you a punishment. This is just a problem in our family, and I just want to help you solve it. Because at the moment, it's with your sisters. But I'm here as a parent to help you with the whole of your life, not just your sisters, but the whole of your life. And if there's an urge in you to hurt people, and if there's something that, you get out of that, right now it's your sisters. Later on in life, it could be other people. And if you're separate him from his brain, right? We've done lots of this with you before. Like if your brain, doesn't learn this early enough, and later on your brain is still looking for that with a friend on the street one day when you're a teenager or something like this. I mean, these are situations where police end up getting involved when you're older. So I'm only here to help you. I don't think you have a bad heart, but in those moments, I don't think you're a bad person at all. But I can see that you're like, why does my brain want to do this, mum? So kind of make him feel like you're a bit on his side. Like, yeah, I know it's wrong and I know I shouldn't do it, but you're right. I do like it. I like it when I can hurt them or something like that. Like get into some truth, and really owning it so
Mm.
that you can because Sarah, this does need to be like a complete open discussion potentially for your whole life. Like his brain might actually, for whatever reason, past life stuff, whatever, his karmic journey, all of those things, it might be something he actually, like you say, he actually gets a kick out of. And
Yeah,
right
he
now
does. And that's what really hurts me, because I can see that it's not a power thing. He doesn't need my attention. It's not a sibling rivalry, bucket filling scenario. You can actually see that sometimes, and like, because he'll pick and pick and pick. And then when I walk out of the room and I'll continue making popcorn or whatever, and they're like, I'm doing something for them and we're watching a movie or something, he'll do it again to them. And then I'll come back in and I'm like, are you actually kidding me? Like, we just went through this. So then I have to push him outside and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like,
and doing that without talking is really good, just energetic conversation only. Fact that
yeah,
you say something like, I love how you said like, Anthony, she said stop. So you're using
yeah,
descriptive criticism, like we use descriptive praise, is just describing facts that have happened without adding judgments and embellishments. Anthony, she said stop. I will not allow you to terrorize her. Now you are terrorizing her. Before you might have been having fun, or before you might have been, just being a bit rough. But when you are asked to stop and you intentionally do it again, that is terrorizing, and that will never be okay. You don't have to say this every time, but you need this one hard thing after you've had the conversation about, when you do this thing, like, what can I just come at him with? I just want you to balance this with like a kind of like I'm going to put my foot down anytime that if I see it, it is my job as the parents of not only you, but of my daughters as well, to protect my children. And if any of my children are being hurt, even if that is by each other, I will be the mama bear, mama lion that will come in and rip anyone to shreds that hurts my children, even if that means it's you guys doing it to each other, right? Because no one hurts my children. So you can do it from like this does include me. This is about me too. It's not just about you. So in the moment, this is how I will show up if anyone ever does this. But at the same time, then you're talking to him a week later, and you're like, hey, I'm also on your side, because he may have a tendency and he may get kicks out of it, right? And that's not something that you can change. That's really something that he can change as he becomes more and more conscious, more aware of his needs, more aware of his behaviors, and more aware of himself. So your role then will be to be a bit of a safe place for him, so that you can keep the if this was to continue through his life, it needs to be a safe place for you to always visit to have conversation, as well as a place that you can bloody put your foot down real hard, particularly as he gets older and stronger, right? Does that make
yeah,
sense? So I
yeah,
just want to set you up for both scenarios,
yeah,
because just in case it is something that, is a bit of a perpetual problem, that, like karmic journeys work like that, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It's also like it's a bit of an issue for me.
Yeah.
Luke can't handle it because it's like the hitting the girl
Yes.
scenario, and he before Luke loses his shit, he normally gets me to step in. Otherwise, he'll probably make it 10 times worse. But for me, my brother used to hurt me, and my brother used to because my dad wasn't around. He used to terrorize me, and so before I started your program, I would handle it in the most unconscious way ever because I was acting out of what
Right.
I felt at that time.
Yes.
And I've explained that to Anthony before. I had an older brother and I didn't feel very good about him doing that to me. And I'm going to be an advocate for Imogen if, and I've spoken to him about that and he was all cool with that. I don't know if that was the right thing to do or not, but he's all cool with that and he understands.
It's good.
But yeah, no, that's good. That's good. Okay, I'll have a chat with
The
him.
third step I want you to do is in the moments. So if you can, instead of outside, do the exact same thing but to his room, so that once he regulates, he can he's in a safe place where he can play with his toys or do what he wants, you know what I mean, and you can leave him there longer and you're not like leaving him outside, because what happens is one of the ways, so learning is a vulnerable experience, and in order to learn we first have to have respect for the person we're learning from. If the person we're learning from has no credibility with us, we actually can't receive from that person. Right? You won't receive from a person that you don't see as credible. Make sense?
Yeah.
And so what happens is with kids, and this is where when it comes into anger, as soon as we do something that is wrong, like you put me outside, well, you smacked me, well, you hurt me, pushed me over, whatever it might have been. The second they have something, particularly when they're in trouble and they're already in reptilian brain, the second they have a bullet that they could fire at us, and like that, absolutely in the whole of their world, you're wrong. Well, you're telling me off, but you're wrong too, kind of a thing. As soon as we do that, it's like we get authority, but we lose credibility when we do things like throw them outside, because they're like, well, who cares what I did? You're so mean, like as if you put me out in the dark or the cold or the whatever it might be, right? And so I just want you to have something where that can't ever come into play, where he never has something against you.
Yeah, that's what the conversations we used to have before I started the program, because it was like, oh, well, you yelled at me, so I'm allowed to yell at you and that kind of thing.
Exactly. Yep. And he won't receive from you when he's got something that he can use against you, right? And then the last thing I want you to do is when he does go and have thinking time, like the thinking time has to be a thing, meaning like, and you might need to work this out. And you're a very conscious parent these days, super, super, super. So it needs to be something like at the end of this, like you say, not just, oh, we'll talk, right? The whole point of thinking time is for them to expose their own mind to files that they can save in the filing cabinet in their subconscious that are more likely to be used next time the more that they think about them. So really the point of thinking time is next time, what will you do? And you want to, like, that's how the conversation of thinking time starts. When you go to him, okay, tell me, what happened there? What can you own in that? What choices did you make that weren't the right ones or whatever, so he can own it. And okay, so that's good that you acknowledge it, but what happens next time? Because there will be more times in life where you're angry with someone or where you feel like for whatever reason you like hurting someone. So when you find yourself in any more of those moments, because welcome to life, right? Things happen multiple times over and over. So what I care about is, what will you do next time? Like next time, when you go to thinking time, you think about what I have just done. It's a reflection time. You can even call it reflection time if you like, whatever, right? But what have I done? And how can I show up better? Like in that moment, even if there's a need that I need met, like how can I get that need met in a healthy, what even is my need? What am I looking for? So maybe even give him some questions or something. This is where I encourage every parent to, do it on the level of their child, and your child better than I will. But maybe even have when he does this terrorizing thing or this violating thing, that it's not just like, oh, go to your room and have some time and then I'll come talk to you, and if you say all the right things I'll let you out. What I need to know is that you have actually increased the chances of this not happening again, kind of thing. So I need to know that your brain, like, I'm not here to tell you what to think about. I'm asking, what have you thought about? So in that time, in that reflection, what came up for you?
Yeah. And we have had discussions about us both doing better, not being perfect, but just doing better at everything in life. Yep. So I could put that in there as well. Like, how are you going to be better kind of thing, because he takes well to that convo. So
Perfect.
yeah.
And so when you go back, it's not like you're in trouble. You need to tell me what you think. Okay, so when I come in and we have this chat, what we're chatting about is we're discussing what you've explored about yourself, what you've reflected on. And I'm not here to like bring you down. I'm actually here to help you feel safe, to take some responsibility, to not be the guy, to not grow up and become a man that can't take responsibility, that deflects and blames and whatever. Not just a man, but a person. But I'm talking about Anthony here being a boy. So I want to help you be a better person. So when we have our conversation, I'm not bringing something to the conversation. You open the conversation with whatever it is you've thought about and reflected on, and we talk about that. I just create an environment for that to feel safe, for you to be okay with taking responsibility and looking at like what was actually going on there for me and how can I show up as a better person. That is not how I want to show up as a person. Not because my mum's telling me that I shouldn't show up like that and I'll get consequences. Like I come back into my center, I come back into my alignment, and I don't want to be that person. That's not how I do want to treat people. I wish I didn't have those urges. So what can I do? And so even at 8 years old, you have these mini conversations, but by the time he's 10, Sarah, if this is a perpetual problem, your level of conscious conversation in those moments with him are like on another level that most adults can't have. And by the time he is a big, strong, man, teenager, whatever, even if he has these urges, he will be very aware and conscious, and he'll be able to own it. Rather than try to defend himself. So it's like not just how do you handle it now, but how do you lay foundations if this is a pattern, and help him become aware. So that's the point of thinking time. It's not just like a time out. It's genuinely have a think. Like, and when I come in, you're not in trouble, but we are going to have a discussion, and I'm going to be coming in to hear what you've reflected on.
Mm.
Does that make sense? Like that's the point of the thinking time, because then he can't go, all right, I've thought about it. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Share your thoughts with me. Share it. What are the reflections?
It's normally when I'm time poor that he comes out. He's like, yeah, and I'm like, I have to do this. So it's normally that scenario when I'm like, oh, he just totally got away with that.
But the reason you have to do that is because he's been outside, and you can't leave him out there for an hour, but you can leave him in his room for an hour. You absolutely can.
Yeah. And you can come out when we can talk about what you can do, how you can do better. And
say when you have, not like what you're saying is great. Like, when you can come in and be respectful, but I would add words and language into that. Like, hey, when you're feeling centered, when you are back in alignment with who you really are, I'd love to have you back out here hanging out with the family. And I might not have time to talk about your thinking time right now because I'm actually busy, but it's important to me, and we will get to that before you go to bed tonight. So if he goes in, has his 15 minutes, half an hour, whatever he does, and then he comes in and you're in the middle of something, you can leave him there for 2 hours. If he doesn't come out, then leave him. Like, don't be like, oh, it feels so bad. He's in there for an hour. Like, he's probably fine. But he comes out prepared for the conversation. And if you can't do it now, it's okay. You don't have to do it immediately. You can say, hey, if, share your thoughts while I'm finishing the meal or whatever, or we will talk about it later. So as long as you can feel that he is centered and he's aligned.
Yeah. No, that's great. I think that'll be awesome. Cool. Thank you.
And I just want you to don't expect an immediate shift and it never happens again. I feel like just knowing Anthony as well as I know him, for these last couple of years. And by the way, lots of ADHD kids, sensory kids, have some serious aggression and urges, right? And that's not a judgment of them. It's like, well, what do we need to do as conscious parents to not just stop the behavior, because there might be things that just literally won't stop no matter what you try. And so how do we manage that and prepare them for life if they carry, some people in this world have tendencies to cheat. Some people have tendencies to be aggressive. Some people have tendencies to be a full fucking, like a complete victim that literally manipulates from a victim mentality. We all have these patterns and we all have these cycles, right? What's that?
Or liars, like people have to lie.
Yeah, people it's like, and they're like, I don't even know why I lie. Like, I know I didn't even have to tell that lie. I actually have a compulsion that I hate about myself. I feel ashamed about it because I don't even know why I freaking do it, So we have to like go, okay, if that is going to be part of your karmic journey and that is going to be a burden you carry in your life, that the best thing you can do is manage it, because it may not ever be gone from you. The urge to cheat or to lie or to, be aggressive might always hang over your head. Then the only thing I can do to keep you safe and to, help you be the best person is to increase your willingness to be more self-aware. As you get older, instead of being aware of it as they do it or after they've done it, they will. What happens in the world of consciousness, as you know, when you first start waking up and you're like, fuck, I shouldn't have said that. You have the awareness after you've stuffed it up, right? You're like, shit, okay, I've got to do. Next time you're like in the moment, you're like, I can see what I want to say. No, I'm not going to say it. And you catch yourself in the moment. So after practice of that, you start catching yourself just before it, like literally just before it. And then as time goes on and you become this self-aware person and you start shedding layers of shame and secrecy and, all of this stuff, we start being aware of our triggers. Like we start tuning into the sensations in our body, what's happening in our energy body, which is like way back here on the timeline. Like with all the a chain of events from that moment that would normally lead into where we lied or where we cheated or where we were aggressive or whatever it might be. Does that make sense? So for him now, he has no awareness, no remorse, no whatever until after the event, but he's 8 years old or 9, whatever he is, right? So, literally in the next 2 years, your goal is just to get him to feel so safe in his awareness and taking personal responsibility that he starts being able to have that awareness right back here, not in the moment or after the moment.
Yeah. And I'm going to take this to the kinesiologist as well. We haven't been for a long time, so I want to take him there just to.
Definitely. Do you go to Kate?
Yeah, we go to Kate, but I haven't been to her for like a year. Okay. I think it's been a year. Yeah. So
100%. Yeah, that'll help for sure. Amazing.
That's awesome. Thank you.
No worries, darling. Oh yeah, I forgot you were there, Luke. Hi. Okay. Thanks, darling. All right. Oh, yes, Danny. I just saw what you wrote there. Yes, 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 absolutely. Exactly. I love it. Yes, Jack still brings up that one smack from 7 years ago. Ah, yes. All right. So let me just go back. Sorry, I'm just going back to the post to see who's next. Oh, sorry. Oh, I clicked on the wrong thing. Sorry. Oh, Sammy. Is Sammy here? Are you here, Sammy? I'm trying to find you on the screen. Let me look at them. If you are, just unmute. Jessie. No, she's not here. No. Okay. Sammy's not here. So let's go. Miss Shana, let me come to you, darling.
Hello.
Hello. Wait, I'm recording these differently at the moment, like with just the person I'm talking to pinned instead of everybody. So let me pin you. Now found you. Hello.
Hello. Nice to see you all.
Yeah, you too. Nice to see you and have you here. Talking about kinesiologists, Shana is a kinesiologist. So if you're looking for any kinesiologist, here she is.
Thanks, Holly.
Okay, darling. So let me do the same thing with you. We'll come back to your second question because
yes,
I think it's going to be totally fine tonight. But I just have like a rule in the post. It says question, just so that as we get bigger, like people don't start feeling let down later that they can't ask 3 questions, right?
Totally.
So
yeah.
I feel like, well, what feels most pressing to you? Like I know the school thing, but I feel like the bedtime thing is a big thing because I also feel like that the resilience that you could build with her at home at bedtime will carry over and transfer to the resilience she can show up to life with. So does that resonate for you? Would you be happy if we just tackled that one first?
Yes, I'm happy to go there, and I know there was interest in that space. I mean, yeah, that's right. And on the school front, I really just wanted a couple of. I'm such a nurturer, and my stuff makes me a protector, right? Which means her getting to 11, 12, 12, 13, that putting them on the boob and soothing the stops being the thing. And now it's good. It's an invitation for me to grow in that space too, and I am welcoming that opportunity. And I really just want, with that one, I really just want to work on how do I have more empowering, like the resilience statements, as opposed to the ones that are just making her feel safe.
Got it.
So that's really my thing.
Do you know what, as well? I reckon if we do the bedtime one for you, because the next person, Shelley, who I'm going to answer, like it's a school thing, and it's the same principles.
Yeah, similar
so
stuff.
I feel like you kind of get your answer out of that as well, right?
Yeah. And India's also starting with the Mani mentoring on Thursday, which will be great. So they can look at.
Yes, Amani's really excited about it. Amani loves her. Like when she looked after her, loves her.
Gorgeous. They're a good little match.
They are, definitely.
Yeah. So yes, the bedtime stuff. Do you want me to describe?
Yeah. So no, I think you did it bloody awesome here. Like, look, here's the principles, and it doesn't matter what age someone is. If their nervous system, gets its safety from you being there, whether they're 3 or whether they're 12, it honestly it's the same thing. And I've done this. I mean, if there's one problem that shows up almost in every family, over and over with the hundreds of parents I've worked with, it's bedtime stuff, right? And so here's the thing, to be able to do it in a way where she has to handle some feelings, but in a way where she knows she is safe. It does 2 things. Number 1, she knows she's safe, so she can't play on it, and I'll explain it to you in a second. And number 2, it allows you to have such stronger energy boundaries around it, because your needs are met. There's no trauma happening here. You're loved. You're safe. The rest, honestly, is about me giving you permission to have your own experience here and to feel your whole totality, to feel your wholeness. And if that means that you need to move through whatever, some fear stuff or whatever, like, it's not like I'm not going to do it for you, but I will be here to provide a space that makes it safe enough to do it like with you, kind of thing, but not for you, on your behalf. So here's what I suggest. Just to help her nervous system be ready for you, absolutely, to not be in the room. Okay. So how you start is just by not being in her bed. Okay. So what you do, and she just needs to build trust with you. So you have to keep your word, right? And that means that even sometimes building trust and keeping our word is in keeping the word in doing the thing they don't want you to do at the time. So you would say to her before bed, so have a discussion, because she's old enough now. Say, hey, babe, look, listen, I want us to be like a partnership and to work on how safe you feel going to bed by yourself. Okay. And I know that she responded to that conversation me and you had at Purpose Retreat.
Yeah.
So I would suggest for you to have that same approach with her, to go, listen, I want to apologize. You know what? As much as I've just tried to make you feel safe and love you, I also feel that as a mum, what I want to do as a mum is raise a child that also feels so confident and so resilient in what they know they can handle, without thinking that they need me to help them, because they have the power, and they're the amazing person, right? And so I want to apologize, and I haven't done it wrong, but I feel like there's probably some things I could have done better. And so I want to do this as a partnership, right? I'm not here to say bad luck, I'm not coming in, deal with it. But at the same time, I am not going to apologize for the fact that I do, like, parenting. For me, parenting finishes at 8 p.m. and I want to, have time by myself. I want to, sit down with my husband, with your dad or whatever, and have time in my relationship. And I think that speaking life into that, particularly at her age, is so powerful, Shana, because then what she's going to do one day, she's going to give herself permission to have time with her partner, even if her kids don't like that. It's it's and she's not going to carry it as a burden, like, oh, I'm ruining things for you. Okay. So what you do is you have a discussion with her. Hey, babe, I want to work in partnership. And I just want to do better, right? I'm not saying I've done it wrong. I'm not saying you've done it wrong. There's always room for us to grow and improve. Okay. And I feel like the discussion we've already had, that although I've only ever, wanted to make you feel loved and safe, that in that, what I've accidentally done without realizing is made your brain to separate her from anything that feel like a criticism to her. What I've done is I've actually programmed your brain to think that it needs me. like to the point where your brain doesn't believe, it doesn't have a natural instinctual belief that it can cope unless I'm there to help you cope. And it's just not true. Like you're so bloody amazing, but I have put that belief in your brain, right? So it just keeps her, it's not like her, it's not so personal. So here's what's going to happen, okay? And you choose your own time frames. I'm just going to use examples here. I would say maximum a week on these time frames. Somewhere between 2 and 5 days works well. And you go with what you can energetically hold strongly. Okay. If you know you can't hold it, or you feel too guilty or bad, then give yourself an extra day. Okay. Because your energy like feeds this whole scenario, as you know.
Yeah.
You're the one that could teach me that. Right. So here's what's going to happen. Okay. For the next 3 nights, I'm going to lay with you like I always have. And I will lay with you until you fall asleep. Okay. You have my word. Okay. I will lay with you until you are asleep. And I'm going to do that for 3 nights. Okay. And then after 3 nights, I will not do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put a mattress down on your floor, and I will not lay on your bed. I will lay on your floor, and I will be there. Okay. And now this is where you choose your own adventure here, Shana. Like you can say, I will be there. If you want to do it in micro steps, I will be there until you fall asleep. So I will be there, but I won't be touching you. I won't be holding you, so that your nervous system can start to expand and start to hold that. I know I'm safe. My mum is there. I can hear her breathing. And this is an area of growth for me to just, to know that you're going to be here until I go to sleep. So I don't have to be worried about when you're going to leave the room. Okay. And so there's just one thing for me to deal with at a time. I am not going to provide you with the touch or you with the physical comfort that your nervous system is now wired to in order for you to regulate. I'm just going to step out of that. Okay. So that you can prove to yourself how much you can do this and that you don't need me. Okay. The next step, and if you want to, you can jump straight to this step. But if you want to put that one in, so in her bed until she's asleep, and then out of her bed if you want to until she's asleep, or you can jump straight to step 3, which is I'll lay on the mattress and I will lay there for 10 minutes. Right? Maybe you could do 15. Don't go past that. Anything past that, you'll create an anxiety for her. Like really 10 minutes, I would strongly encourage you to do, because past that, they're like just waiting for when you're going to leave. Like, like it's like, how long has it been? And they get an anxiety, like, when are you leaving? Okay. So it's not good for the nervous system, right? Lay there for 10 minutes. Okay. And you have 10 minutes to calm and to breathe and to lay down and to soften your body and all those things. But while you're laying there, Shana, you can't even communicate. Honestly, it's like, listen, I'm going to say goodnight and I love you, and we'll do our little goodnight routine. And when you go to bed, that's it. Okay, there's no more communication from me. I love you. You know that, all that. But when I'm laying down, you're not like, just even if she tries to talk to you or ask you questions, be strong in your energy. Like, and that's why also 10 minutes is another good thing, because she might weigh you down after 10 minutes. And then what happens is your energy boundaries weaken. And then we break their trust, because we said we would lay there for 10 minutes and then we're leaving. But here we are 16 minutes later and we're still there. And so they start feeding off like what they can grab in our energy field, right? That's not good for them, right? And so then you lay there, you have a time frame, okay? Then and then you go, the next step might be that after those 3 nights, and you can get an agreement with her on this or something. Like if you want to have a discussion with her, you can go, this is what I feel like I'm doing, and I'm open to you sharing your feelings, but don't put it to her like, I'm open to your feedback or I'm open to your suggestions. I'd be like, hey, I'm open to hearing like what comes up in you, what fears, what worries you have here. Okay. But this is going to be the plan, because you know what? What I want to teach you is that it's perfectly okay to want to get to a point in the day where you're done, that where you are not available to anyone else in the world, and you can go have time to yourself and do what you want. And I am not being an example of that to you, and I don't want you growing up thinking that you can't do what you want with your night because you feel too bad towards your children. I want you to know you can do that. It's okay. So put it to her like that, so that because that'll help her receive that you really are just being a good mum, right? You're not like not meeting. Okay. And any discussions that she does have, like happen the next day. So when she's standing, Mom, I just feel scared, Mom, I don't want you to go, or whatever, okay, it's like, try to say nothing. But if you feel like you can't not say anything, just say you are okay, but with very, neutral energy. Very, you are okay, you are safe. That is, like, have like 2 sentences and nothing more. She gets nothing more, but just your voice, or just the reminder, or that seed planted in her mind. You are okay. Mom, I can't, it hurts, I'm scared. You are okay. Like, you're allowed to be scared. Like, I am not going to take the experience of life away from you, and welcome to life. Sometimes it's scary. That kind of vibe that you carry in your energy body. Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Yep.
And just know that the greatest gift that you truly are giving to her, when, like, there's no trauma here. She is safe. She is loved. Like, you are there. There's absolute no such thing in this scenario of actually believing that you're not safe. You actually know you are. And now it's just uncertain. It's not that you don't feel safe. You're feeling uncertain because there's no familiarity to this process. Because, normally when you get dysregulated, I will be there to help you regulate. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And then you tell her, after that night, I'll do 10 minutes. After that, I'm going to come in, I'm going to give you your kiss, and I'm going to walk out. Okay. And if you feel like you need to, like, sometimes with toddlers, I mean, it's a bit different. So, but I'm just going to say this because it does work, because, toddlers like actually get out of their bed and, whatever. And so then I just tell the parent to step out of the room and, like, maybe just be at the doorway and, like, kind of sit down in the passage or something like that, but not even fully looking at them, but just to the side, so that if they look, they can see the edge of your leg. Like, they know that you're keeping your word. They know, and you said, I will sit there, and I'll sit there for 10 minutes. But now they're like, you're out of my room and I can't really see you unless I check to make sure you're there, and you keep your word for that 10 minutes. And then you say, I'm not going. And then after that, honestly, like, I mean, her nervous system will probably be fine. It'll probably grow into that. If when you get to the point where you're completely out of her room and you go out in the lounge room and then she gets up and comes out, your response is, I am unavailable. I am not available right now. And you give yourself permission, Shana, to not be available.
Yeah. I want to get really good at that, Holly. This is why I'm taking this on, because I'm so willing to make it okay.
I know. Yeah. And that's
just ask another question.
That's your gift. That's the double-edged sword. It's your gift. It's why we all want, we all feel like we do around you and all of that. But yeah, I know what you mean. The balance.
It doesn't help her. I don't want her to have that. I mean, I know, and so I guess my just one other question is, because she feels so passionately about all of this.
Yes.
One of her responses, and I have faith that after 9 days or 10 days or whatever it is, that she'll that will shift in her brain programming and all those sorts of things. But what would your response be, or what do you feel would be a good way for when she like, honestly, she sits up and she refuses to engage in any capacity that she might have or be invited to have around owning her own abilities in the space? I think a bit like what you're saying, her brain is actually totally believing that she literally can't do it. And she'd follow me out of the room and she'd be, totally passionate about, how do I convince you, a bit like when you're birthing, how do I convince you that I can't actually do this?
Okay. Yeah.
What would be your...
So my response to that, and I've gone through this with Miami, actually, with going to school, is I literally just so strongly say, I just won't believe things that aren't true. I'm sorry. I will just, that is just not true. I refuse to, you will not get me to believe that. It is absolutely, that is not true. I will not believe a lie. That is untrue.
Yeah.
So I don't tell her that how she's feeling is wrong, but when she's like, but I can't, Mum, you don't understand. I can't. I said, do you know what? absolutely refuse to accept that. That is absolutely untrue. And if there's anything that you can't do, if there's anything you're not doing right now, it's actually surrendering into the belief that just maybe you actually can.
Mm-hmm.
Just maybe. Maybe you might. Maybe you could. So I'm just like, when they're like, oh, but I can't, but I don't, that is just not true. And also, like, it's okay to, other things that I've used are things like, like literally using it as life lessons, right? Like, as in, listen, darling, here's the reason that I won't buy this from you. I'll tell you why. Because this moment right now is not going to be the only time you feel what you're feeling. In life, this feeling will show up multiple times. And what I want for you is that any single time, even the possible idea of believing that you can't do something starts to show up for you, that you remember who you are and that your brain instantly goes into a, well, I have to. And I have been able to do things that I've had to do. And sometimes in life, we just have to do things that we don't even feel we can do. And it's not until we've proven to ourselves that we did them that our brain then collects the evidence. And then it's like, well, maybe I can. Well, I clearly just did.
Mm-hmm.
So right now, the only reason you're telling me you can't, and I believe that you believe that, but the only reason that you have such a strong belief is because there is no evidence to support the fact that you can. So it makes sense that your brain believes it can't, because it's got all the evidence on why it can't. And any single time that you've got out of this feeling, I was there or someone was there to help you or save you or whatever it might be. And fair enough, your brain's like, I have no file that says that I can. So as much as I see that you're hurting right now and that this is hard for you, the only thing that I'm interested in is making sure that when you get through this, because you have to, that on the other side of that, your brain's got evidence that it can use from now on, that sometimes you can. And then eventually the sometimes you can becomes an anytime you can, and a knowing that you can. But it needs, and I am not gonna put another piece of evidence in your brain, in your filing cabinet, and start stacking up the evidence to give your brain another reason to just prove to itself how right it is that you can't. This is what's not true, but it's okay that your brain believes that because it doesn't have the evidence to suggest otherwise. So right now, all I'm interested in is making sure your brain gets that evidence. And I know that this is hard for you. And, part of me right now just wants to cuddle you and let you sit on my lap. But you know what? I know that the kind of mum I want to be needs to be strong enough to not do that right now. This is hard for me too, because I want to just wrap you up. I want to take away your pain. But what I'm committing to is raising you in a way that you know how powerful you are. And my commitment to that is that I will not ever sit there and feel something or do something for you, but I will sit with you and teach you how to feel it. I'm not pulling you out of it. I will be there right now. You can stop and you can feel safe. Like you can go through these feelings, and I will sit here and I will hold space while you feel them, but I will not add a word, and I will not add a hug, and I will not add all the things that's just going to prove to your brain that the reason you felt better is because you got that hug, or because you got that word, or because mum did something. I will not give your brain more of that evidence right now.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Really receive it, especially a child that's been raised like you've raised her, with very so much awareness and understanding of energies and feelings. And yeah, it'll make sense to her. I mean, it's normal for her. This conversation will appear like a threat because a need's not being met that she believes she has. So it's normal for her to have a fight or flight response around that. But when you see that, it's more important than ever that this becomes a piece of evidence to support what you want for her long term.
Absolutely. Yeah. No, it's perfect timing.
It is.
Thanks, Holly.
So welcome. Good on you. Absolutely. Oh, yes. That's a good point, Amanda. Thank you for reminding that. So I was going to call you Kate. Sorry, Shana. Sorry. So this is something, it's basically just how you teach your kids about the amygdala. I don't know if you've had deep conversations on that, but if you go into the group, everyone listen here, if your kids have like, big fears or big anger moments they can't control or whatever, what I did, this is like 2 years ago or something, go into the search bar and type in guard dog, right? And if you type in guard dog, what I did this night is there are a few people on the call with the same questions, and I said to them all, I tell you what, because as I'm saying it, they're like, Holly, can you just like come say that to my kid for me, or like, can I just record you and play or whatever? So what I ended up saying is I said, I'm going to do a video for your children tomorrow, so that instead of you trying to explain what I've just said to your kids, I'll do it for you. All you have to do is pull up this video, press play, and I talk to the camera like I'm talking to your child. Okay, so go watch that video and either translate it yourself or hand it to her and let her learn about, it's basically just, it teaches consciousness to kids, but it talks about the amygdala, and I talk about it being a guard dog inside your brain, and its role is to keep you safe. And just like any guard dog, if it hears a noise, it barks and barks and barks. But sometimes, like the guard, it's like your dad went out to put the bin out the front, and there's no stranger out there. And sometimes you need to tell the guard dog to get back in its kennel. It's like, stop your barking, just get back in your kennel. It's all fine. So sometimes the guard dog jumps the gun, and it's trying to protect you. It's not a bad thing. It just wants to make sure you're safe, if that's what its role is. But you can talk to your guard dog and say, hey, you need to get back in your kennel. There's actually no threat here. There's no danger. I'm okay. I've got some big feelings, but I'm okay in those feelings. Get back in your kennel, please, because only when the guard dog is in its kennel can the other part of your brain open up that actually helps you work out your situations. So
that's great. Thank you.
A bit of an analogy there.
Definitely look for that.
Danny
that's great.
Thank you. Oh, so Danny Keller just tagged you in the guard dog video in the group. Thanks, Danny.
Oh, thanks, Danny.
You're the best. Oh, Danny set it up there. Beautiful. Yeah. Okay. I just saw that you guys have all got so many comments here. I'm not even going to read them, but unless somebody needs something urgent, let me know, because there's just too many for me to sit here reading. But I love that you guys all chat like this in the chat box. So you guys can have your little side conversation where I talk to people on the screen. All right. Okay. Thank you. And Shelley, I saw you get on the call. Where are you? Did I find you? Oh, yep, there you are. Hi, darling. Oh, hang on, you're muted.
There you go.
Hello. Thank you for making my day today with that beautiful post.
Thank you. It's all good.
Excellent. So let's talk about school problems, not just for you, but for everybody. Principles are the same. The actual like word for word sentences and things like that might change according to the age of a child, right? So I'll address you, but for Shana or anyone else watching with school stuff, we've had this lots of times in the group, right? So if you need or you want to dig deeper or something like that, if you type in school or school issues or something like that in the search bar, you'll get stuff that we've covered on school, right? Because every scenario is slightly different. And what you've got to take into account here is, sometimes children have, if it becomes, look, with your child, it doesn't sound like it's an actual separation anxiety thing, but separation anxieties can come from, what happened to the baby when they were first born or what happened in the womb and all of these things, right? So we won't need to do that with you, I don't think, because is this like a bit of a, it's like this doesn't normally happen. It's just happening now, this school thing.
Yeah, it's just in the last month or two, like he's had camp and a few other things that have just come up out of nowhere where he doesn't want to be anywhere without me, and he can't, he feels like he can't do things unless I'm there with him until he feels comfortable about me leaving.
Got it. Yep. Okay. So the biggest thing here is trust, meaning we tell them what's going to happen. And regardless of how much it breaks our heart or how much their heart's breaking, we keep our word on what we said that we would do, right? Huge. So so their familiarity makes us feel safe, okay? So you let him know what will happen at school. So tomorrow, and you don't do it in the morning, right? So the day before, you seed his mind. So his mind is already exposed to the idea. And the more that you talk about it, because what the biggest mistake lots of parents make is trying not to talk about the fact that you've got to go to school and it's the weekend and today's Sunday and school's tomorrow, and we try not to deal with that. But then what happens is when we get there, it is like a shock to them, right? And so do the opposite, talk about it a lot. And the best times to talk about school anxieties are like Friday nights when the kid knows there's no school for 2 days, right? And so because they know that they don't have to go to school tomorrow morning, they're more open to the conversation tonight because it's not something I have to deal with, right, tomorrow. And so a couple of principles here. If it gets bad and keeps going, you want to bring in more exposure to his mind. So not only do you talk about what's going to happen and what we're going to do, then what you do is you're like, hey, tell Dad what we talked about today. Tell, you know how we talked about what's going to happen at school? So tell Dad what's it. And you get him to speak it. Tell Grandma, oh, Grandma, you should see what's happened. You know, whatever it might, like anytime you can get him to tell someone else, or you sometimes, that's the best way. Otherwise, you say it to other people, but in front of him and kind of include him in the, yes, Dad, I don't know if you heard, but yeah, we had a good chat about, you know, he was feeling really sad this morning when we went to school. And after school, we had a big conversation about how sometimes in life we have to do things we don't want to do. And they don't feel fair and it does hurt our hearts. But like these things happen lots in life, and the only way that our brains and our nervous systems can ever be learn that it's okay to go through those is for us to just have to deal with it sometimes, right? That's where the coping mechanisms come from. And so I don't know, you know, and then you can go, oh, tell Dad what we said that we'll do tomorrow. And it might be like, okay, so here's what we're going to do tomorrow. So tomorrow's Tuesday. On Tuesday mornings, I have a little bit of extra time, you know, because I don't start work till 10 or something, whatever your situation might be. Or on this day, you know what? I'm going to come in, and when I go to school tomorrow on Tuesdays, I'm going to come in, I'm going to help you put your bag away, and then we're going to put your lunchbox in the lunch spot and put your drink bottle away, and then I'll stay and we'll read one book or something. So literally describe what you can do without overcommitting yourself, okay? The quicker you get out, the easier it is for his nervous system to handle, okay? And you probably know that. The longer you stay, it's like the harder it almost gets, right? Because it creates an anxiety, and then they become dysregulated. And I'm going to give you a few things to do for his vagus nerve, right? Just to help him learn how he can settle himself. And my daughter, Miami, she ended up with pretty big gut problems after asthma attacks and hospitals and whatever. And like the medication literally ruined her gut. I mean, it saved her life, so it's all good, but she had big gut problems. And as part of that, she literally had like a fucking depression type thing, like a big anxiety and where she used to beat herself up about it a little bit was like, but why can't I handle this? Like, you know, like my mind is stronger, but I just can't stop my body from having the reaction type of thing. And we used to, like what I'm about to say to you with the vagus nerve stuff, it worked for her so well. She started a YouTube channel when she was 10. She's got it shut down this year just because she went to high school and didn't want anyone to like potentially use it to pick on her or something. But, you know, I mean, one of her videos has got 200,000 views and shit like that. Like I fucking went nuts. And she taught it on there. And then she got lots of people, like lots of like kids and parents, like doing all these comments saying how much it helped. So I'm going to give you that so that you can give it to him. So that in a moment when you're like, hey, I'm going to walk in today, I am not staying. I will walk into the classroom. I will do your bag here. Or it might be today, I'm not coming into the classroom. Okay. So you tell him the night before tomorrow. So today I came in, tomorrow I'm not. What I'm going to do tomorrow is I'm only going to come to the car park. I'll get out the car. I'll put your bag on your back. I'll give you the biggest cuddle in the world, and you will walk through the gates by yourself. And if you don't, it's okay. If you don't walk through the gates, it's okay. I will get you. I will take you to whatever it is. I'll take you to the teacher. I will carry you. Or how old is your son?
8.
Okay, so maybe you won't carry him. But, you know, it's okay. I will hold your hand and we will go to the office together, and I will make sure you're in a place where you are safe and you can process what you're feeling, but I won't be staying. I will go. I will make sure you're safe, and then I will go. You're safe because I leave you with somebody that can look after you. Does that make sense? So the best time to talk about tomorrow is today, when it's as far as possible away before I have to actually deal with what you're saying. And if you can expose his mind to the idea of what's going to happen tomorrow at 5 times in a night, his brain will have so much more, even if he doesn't like it. So you say it straight after school, you know, how was your day and all of that kind of stuff. And Start talking about, you know, how did you go this morning? Like, you know, like how long did it take before you went back to the classroom? And, you know, like, don't pretend it didn't happen. Like, you know, how long did you feel sad for this morning? You know, don't add your own story or your own emotions. Like, oh, I felt so bad to leave you there. Just go, you know what? I just want to say you coped so well this morning. I absolutely could see how much your heart was hurting over that and how annoyed at me that you felt, and you have every right to feel that way. Anyone in your situation would feel like that. They're the two biggest sentences for emotional validation. Like, you have every right to feel that way. Anyone in your situation would feel like that. And that's all in fourth pillar when you eventually get there, if you're not already. And then you say, but you know what? I just want to acknowledge how brave you were. I like those emotions for anybody, even for an adult, are hard emotions to sit with. They are very big feelings. And to hear that you ended up going back to, how long did you say till you went to class? Oh, well, I got there just after this. Wow. So you're like, wow. So that took you like 20 minutes or so, or something like that. You know, like try to put a number on it. That is like, for you to be able to process big emotions like that, and to be feeling like that, and to know that you're okay, and to move through them. I acknowledge you for that. That's a big thing. So make it acknowledge him for, no matter how, when you like can't blow wind up their ass and like pretend, oh, I'm acknowledging you for how brave. They're like, I didn't feel brave, right? You can just say it's brave just to even be able to feel big emotions like that. For you to actually even let yourself feel that, and to sit in the office without your parent there, with me saying goodbye, that is big. That's a big deal. And you did that so well. So just acknowledge him for the heaviness and the bigness of an emotion, and that big emotions are hard to deal with. And and look at you. You did it. You did it.
Because he was fine. Like I said to him on the Friday night before they were going back to school on the Monday, I said to him, you know, we got to get back into a routine. You got school on Monday, so you know you need to, you know, start getting back into things, because Monday you got to be right for, you know, nice and bright and that for Monday. And so I felt like I did do that prep, probably not enough, like that many times, but you know, there were a couple of times where I did say, you know, what was going to happen. But then Monday came, and that's why I was so shocked that he acted that.
What you need to do, sorry, I didn't end up getting to that part. This is what you do on the night before, right? Yeah. In the next morning, right? So when you're tucking him into bed or whatever you do in your bedtime routine, you say, so can you remember what I said about tomorrow? You tell me remind me like what's happening tomorrow. Like, what day is it again? Tomorrow's Tuesday. Like, even just start with something simple and get him to go, no, tomorrow's not Tuesday. Today, like tomorrow's Wednesday. What do we do on Wednesday? What did I say again that we're doing tomorrow morning? What is it again? See if you can create a scenario where you get him to tell you, well, you're going to walk me in, and you said that you'd help me put my bag away and put my lunchbox and get my drink bottle, and then you wouldn't come into the classroom and you'd say goodbye to me there, right? So you might just say goodbye at the door, for example, right? And so you get him to say that, okay, cool. All right, beautiful. So in the morning, remind me again, okay? Because my brain might forget and whatever, and this is all going to help your brain to know that it's okay, so that you eventually don't even have these feelings you have to deal with. So remind me again in the morning. I'll ask you in the morning in case I've forgotten, right? So you kind of leave it like that. So he's like expecting to be asked in the morning. So then in the morning, it doesn't have to be the very first thing you say to him, but you go, all right, mate, come on, let's get dressed. Now, what was it again? Like, what is it that we had to do? I know that I said that I'm going to walk you in, but did I say I was going to say goodbye to you at the car park? No, like, was I saying goodbye to you at the car park today? Or was I, no, you said you're going to walk me to the room. Oh, okay, that's right. Oh, yes, that's right. So do this kind of thing with him, right? Where he's like just answering your questions. It's not like, here's what we're doing, 1 and 2 and 3, bad luck, this is how it is. Like, try to engage him in getting you, okay. And then once he has told you in the morning, then you can leave it for the rest of the morning unless he raises it. But if he starts raising it, or if he starts dragging his feet or something like that, don't avoid it. Just say, hey, I see you're feeling some big feelings right now. You did great with your big feelings yesterday. You mattered to me. Okay. When we're in the car, let's talk about what we can do to help with your big feelings. Okay. I'm going to help you with your big feelings. So whatever you need to do to just basically get him in the car, that would be the best scenario, because that's the hardest part. Once they're in the car, they're kind of half committed, right? And then you've just got to go through your word. Now, then you give him vagus nerve things. And in the moments where he is starting to get anxious about, like, we're nearly at school and you can just see him changing or whatever it might be, you give him something to do. So instead of trying to just get any person, not just a child, to stop a thought, we actually can't just stop a thought. We can't delete a thought. We can only replace a thought. Okay. So anytime that he starts to notice that he's starting to go down that road, you give him something he can do, not just instructions on what not to do and what not to feel. And, don't start this or all that kind of stuff. Right. So vagus nerve is number one, nose breaths. Okay. So you can even teach him, like, there's a nerve that runs right down the back of your, right down. What do you do again, Shelley? Are you in the
dental assistant?
A what?
A dental assistant.
Dentist, that's right, dentist. Okay. Do you know about the vagus nerve? Kind of, not really. Okay, cool. Well, vagus nerve, when we do nose breaths, so it runs like down the back of our throat, basically. So when we do nose breaths and the air hits the back of our throat through our nose and runs down the back, that actually stimulates the vagus nerve. That's number one. And the vagus nerve, manages or controls the parasympathetic nervous system. Okay. So number one, nose breaths. The number two, so this is a really good one. There's a spot just above your belly button. So you go like 2 fingers, or you can do 3 and then you use your third one. So you go to the top of your belly button, you put 2 fingers there, and right on the top of your 2 fingers, you just push in there basically as hard as you can. And Miami used to love this one, because you can do this without anyone knowing you're doing it, right? You can be sitting down at school, sitting at your desk, and you can just look like you've got your hand on your belly and you're pushing in there. And at the same time, if you can, do nose breaths, okay? But if you can't, even just pushing in there, that will also stimulate the vagus nerve. And what the vagus nerve does is it gets the guard dog back in his kennel. It calms your nervous system down so that you can think properly, right? And that you can, make different choices, or you can feel safe, or it reminds your body that you're safe. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. So that, and those 2 things, like just knowing they could do nose breaths and pushing in right above their belly button, 2 fingers above their belly button. It's like, so then when you see him getting a bit anxious in the car or something like that, or he's starting at home, he's like, I'm not going to school. Instead of telling him, well, yes, you are, you go, hey, remember your vagus nerve? Hey, this is a good time to do nose breath. Remember your nose breaths. Hey, just maybe use your fingers, or you might even have a little cue for him with your fingers or something. Go, hey, remember. And like this, and again, he might, I'm not doing that, whatever. Just seed his mind. If this is a bit of a process of him going to school, give him grace kind of thing for a week, in terms of you telling him about these ideas. He'll reject them and not want them because he's all in reptilian brain. But once he's heard them anyway for 4 or 5 days straight, his brain will start receiving them. Okay. I mean, he might receive it straight away, but if he doesn't, if he fully rejects it, it doesn't mean it's not working. Keep seeding his subconscious mind. But 5 times, if you can seed his mind 5 times between after school and somehow find, doesn't have to be the whole entire what's going to happen tomorrow. It'll just be, you get your husband to ask him when he comes home, oh, how's your day? Oh, cool. And how did you go this morning? And what happens tomorrow morning? Is mum coming in tomorrow, or is she helping you with your bag, or are you doing it by yourself in the car park? Have like 3 different options that you always choose, because what I find to build true resilience, not just a complete coping mechanism that kind of makes kids suppress, some big stuff, is to not be. What I have found to be more successful is people think, oh, I have to I don't want to go into the classroom because I can't do it every day, and I need to be consistent so that my child knows that this is what happens every day, right? I disagree with that. And from everything that I've seen, it doesn't mean it doesn't work, but what it does is it manages this situation, but doesn't truly build a resilience for any other kind of situation, because it's like, in this situation, this is what we do. But that is not how life works, because you're going to get this feeling in another situation one day, and we won't be able to do that. Does that make sense? So I'm like, have 3 options. Some days I drop you in the car park and you walk in. Some days I just come and I just help you unpack your bag and I do not go in the classroom. And some days I come in, you unpack your bag yourself, but I sit down and do a book with you. So then it's like, oh, so what day is it tomorrow? What day is it today? Like I can handle 3 different scenarios, not just like I've learned how to cope so long as nothing in my life changes. That's not true resilience. And you see that when next time they fall in the same heap, because they don't really have a true resilience. So I always say have at least 3 options and mix and match them. And they don't have to be every Tuesday we do this and it can just be one day's notice. Hey, so tomorrow, normally, like last week on Wednesday, I came in and did a book. I can't do that tomorrow. I'm actually going to the gym tomorrow with a friend of mine. Or you can have any reason. I'm not available to do that tomorrow. So tomorrow we'll do this. But what we'll do is if you love me doing the book, we'll do that on Friday. So you let them know when they are going to get the favorite thing they need, but it's just not tomorrow. But you don't announce it on the morning or when you get to school, because then they learn to not trust you. And not trusting you is what builds the anxiety. They need to know, if you don't walk into school, I will walk you to the front office. Okay, I love you and I care about you. And when you come home from school, I will give you all the big cuddles and we'll talk about all the big feelings. But right now, I'm going to leave you at school. I love you. You are okay. And then you walk out and then you cry when you get to the car. Okay, but you walk out like this isn't even touching you type of energy.
Yeah.
Needs to know that you are going to keep your word. He needs to know that he can't manipulate you even if he's not intentionally trying to.
Yeah. Because the next day he this morning he went to school fine and he had no problems and he walked straight in and I didn't even have to go in with him, and I had done that prep with him again, but it was, I don't know, I think I was more firm with it, like I will not be doing this tomorrow. And I said that to him on Monday night. I said, I can't do that tomorrow. And he's like, that's okay. I don't need you to. And then he said, I just didn't want to go to school Monday.
Okay.
And that's why it was some kind of anxiety thing with the change in routine for him.
Absolutely. Yep, definitely.
So when one of those things where I go, okay, so that because there's that change, do I go, I'll roll with what his needs are at the moment, and then, the next day hope that it goes back to normal.
Do you mean like on one of those days when you say like coming off holidays and going back to school, that on that day you do more? Well, I would say is make a decision on that before the day comes, right? That's really the only thing that matters. Don't decide on the day. If he is like that, then you make your decision. I would say the night before, have a discussion. Okay, we've got school tomorrow. I don't really want to go to school tomorrow. Hey, listen, if you need some extra support tomorrow, I will give you the support from where. So what are we going to do? What's tomorrow morning going to look like? Like I'll come in and I'll just help you hang up your bag. Give him just a little bit and see if he says, no, can you do this or something like that, right? It's okay to do that and to have a little bit of negotiation around it, but have it set in stone so that we've already decided ahead of time. Whether you're sad or not tomorrow, that's what we're doing. If you're sad, we're doing that. And if you're not sad, we're doing that. Like I'll do that anyway. You don't just only get that if you're sad and if you need it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And you can say, thank you for talking to me about how you feel. And sometimes it is, when we've got in a routine of being at home and now we've got to go back to school and now our brain needs to think of all the things that the teacher needs us to do, that's a confronting day. And even adults feel like that when they've had holidays and they go back to work. They're like, oh my God, I've got to go back into the office and I've got to think of this and that and, all of the things again, and our brains have to all turn back on. And if you need extra support, do you know what I love? I love that you have the courage to always ask for help when you need it. And if you can identify and come and talk to me about these things, I will do whatever I can to be able to support you through that. So, because you want him to know that if you ask for help, you'll get it. But, and of course, sometimes he might not know that he's going to feel like that tomorrow morning or whatever. And then if you get to school and it's really just a once off, it's not an ongoing thing, and you get to school, it's okay even in the moment for you to go with what your mum intuition is telling you. Like even if if he all of a sudden just has this meltdown and you do have some time, just tell him first. Don't just stay as long as he needs. Like what you do is, hey, okay, I tell you what, take some breaths, nose breaths, push on your vagus nerve, push on, all that stuff. Take some breaths. Here's what's going to happen. I'm going to stay here and I'm going to stay for 10 minutes. And I'm also going to come and talk to your teacher and tell her that you're not feeling very safe today and you need a bit of extra help so that when I leave, she's there to look after you. I'm going to do that. Okay. So it's like you get an agreement and then you go do it. Does that make sense? Not just like, come on, then I'll walk you in, and then there's no real, I'm going to stay for 10 minutes. And when the next bell goes and the 10 minutes is up, I'm going to leave and I will leave you with your teacher if you need more help. So just tell him what's going to happen and then make sure you keep your word.
Yeah. Perfect. Thank you.
It will help. It will help immensely. And it will help not just in this scenario, it helps long term if you do it like that.
Yeah. I've also been starting to like have tea at the table and not watching the TV, and like just asking those questions about what was the best part of your day, and like what was the other one, the what challenged you today. So and yeah, it's been really good. Like the kids are starting to say that back to me now. Like, what was the best part of your day, Mum? And yeah, so it's really fantastic. It's changing. Like, yeah, it's making me feel like a family again. So.
Absolutely. Look at your face. It's amazing. And that's the thing. Kids don't feel like they're just the kid in the family. If you go around the table and we all share our favorite parts of our day and our challenging parts of it, we also normalize challenges and, we highlight good parts of our day. Like there's no such thing as a bad day. There are bad moments in a day. And sometimes there can be so many bad moments and so many things that were wrong that it almost feels like the whole day was bad. But somewhere in that day, if we are willing to see it, if we're willing to look for it, there was also a good moment. There was also something good that happened. And because that even just one good thing happened, we can't call it a whole bad day. So it just like changes as they get older, like that you get to manage, sometimes you can't manage, sometimes you can't change the burden, but you always get to choose how you carry it. And so, yeah, just inserting those little things, is just, what was the best part of your day? Oh, I don't feel like I had any good part. Okay. We're not asking what was like the good part of your day. What was the amazing? It's not the question. What was the best part? So of all the crappy things, what was the least crappy? Because that would be the best part of that day.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? That's why that's why I call it the best part of your day. You don't have to have had the best day, the whole best day. But somewhere in your day, there was something that wasn't so bad. What was that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome. All right. That's the end of our questions, but I'm just looking. Thinking time. Oh, I'm just seeing what Sarah and Wendy's saying here. Do you guys need any help on this? There's a lot to read, but yeah. Okay. Oh, you guys have sorted that by the looks. All right. Thinking time is in the second pillar. Wendy, are you in the program? Are you just in the coaching package or are you in the program? Do you want to unmute? I can't even find, where are you?
Sorry.
That's
yes,
okay.
both.
Hello, how are you?
I'm okay.
Are you in the program itself or just in the coaching package?
In both.
Okay.
I've only done a little bit of the program though, like have printer failure and life and excuses.
You don't, yeah, good on you. And own that, right? Own that. It's just, priorities, but that is going to be your saving grace, right? You don't need that. Is it beneficial? I mean, look, really, if you're going to print off the workbook that goes with the program, I suggest if you can to go pay $11. I think it's $11 or it could be $13 to get, it's 100 A4 pages. That's a lot of pages. Right? And you can't staple that. It needs to be binded. So it's about $13, I think, at Officeworks or something to get it printed and binded. But that's not you can watch the videos. There are heaps of people that have never printed that booklet and still done the program. So it does help, especially if you've got it right there in front of you. And when you're watching the videos, it all relates to the videos. Plus there's some exercises in that aren't even really in the videos, just to help get you set up for the program, kind of a thing. So if you can do that, great. But I just don't want you to think or feel that like you have to do that in order to be doing the program. You don't. You can just watch the videos. And just to make it easy, if you're feeling really time poor and a bit overwhelmed with all the things you have to do, you don't even have to watch it. You don't even have to look at the screen. If you are a visual learner, it might help you a bit to look at the screen, but you don't have to. You can even just listen while you're driving the car or something. Yeah? Yeah, that's a good thing, Elle. Yeah, like while you're washing the dishes or doing the washing or driving. So yeah, just make it easy for yourself. Each video in the program is somewhere between 5 and 10 minutes. I think there's 2 or 3 videos that are 15 minutes around about. Other than that, they're all under, at least under 12 minutes. So you don't need a lot of time. So yeah, just shift your mind on that, and the videos will help you immensely. And then if you watch the videos and then you're like, oh, I don't really get that, or I've tried to do what the video said, but it's not really working, that's where I can just help you 10 times faster if you watch videos.
If I've done that. Yeah. Cool.
Yeah. Perfect. No worries. All right. Well, I will.
Right, thank you.
You're very welcome, darling. You're very welcome. I will see you all next week. Some of you, Miss El Petrolo, I'll see you in a couple of days at the relationship retreat. The rest of you, I have a big announcement coming. I was going to announce it for my birthday, and then I didn't because my life went crazy, and my ex-partner died the day before, and I was just like, fuck, the last thing I'm doing is making an announcement right now. It's an epic announcement. I cannot wait. It's something that has been in my dreams for 4 years, and then COVID messed with the whole thing and it got delayed by a lot. And, now I've just been waiting for the right time for, to be called forwards into that. And it's going to be something that really benefits all of you, particularly in this program. So in 2 weeks' time, Mother's Day, or the week leading, is next week the call before Mother's Day? Because tomorrow's the 1st of May. It is. I will tell you all in this group. I'm going to make it public for Mother's Day, probably the day before Mother's Day. I will tell you all on this call, because you guys get privy to everything first. I will tell you, oh my God, I will tell you on this call next week, okay? I might not be super, I've got a freaking relationship retreat to run from Thursday to basically Monday this week, but including our setup and pack down and everything. But it doesn't matter. I'll absolutely make the announcement. It won't be available for a couple of more days until Mother's Day, but we will be ready to make the announcement next week. So get back on this call. I will make the announcement at the beginning of the call, so that if there's someone that's like, for whatever reason, you can't be on the call next week, you can listen to the announcement and then you can go if you have to. But be on the call next week, and I've got a epic announcement to make for all of you that will help you fast track whatever's happening in your parenting and with your children, if you feel that you want that, or you want some extra support to be able to make things happen faster. Okay, so right, I thought I had 2 weeks, but I have 1 week, so I'll see you all next week. We'll have a big announcement. And you guys have a beautiful week. If you need anything, use the group. I definitely will be offline from Thursday to Monday, but that's what the group is for. There's lots of people in the group that can help you with your questions, that have probably asked the same question, that have been here for years and are still weekly showing up to these calls because of the value that they get in their life because of it. So use the group if you need anything between now and then. Make sure you're watching the videos. Don't get slack on watching the videos just because the Zoom calls have a lot of value. Stay connected, watch the Zoom calls, and I'll see you guys next Tuesday, yeah?
Thanks so much, Holly. Lots of love.
Welcome. Lots of love, guys.